World War II was over, Abana Karam was gone, and the first generation born in the United States was maturing and becoming more established in the area. Some were restaurateurs, grocers, butchers, dry goods traders, and owners of appliance stores. They had more benefits than their parents, but life had its own difficulties being halfway between two cultures. It would be safe to say that many of this first generation were self-made. These self-made men and a few women found their way into politics. They did bookkeeping and tax work. They found their way into banking and finance, and many continued to build their own businesses. The second generation born in the United States was now referring to those original immigrants as Jiddu and Taita and Siti. They were at least finishing high school and some went on to college or medical school and law school. By the 1950s, the neighborhood began to change as some moved farther south into the city and some ventured into the county areas. As the neighborhood changed, so did the attendance at St. Raymond. During this period and through the 1960s, there was a devoted small group of women who kept the church doors open by cooking, having lottos, having fish fries, and more. In 1951, the ladies of St. Raymond finally had a modern and centralized kitchen when the church hall was built facing 10th Street. In the summer months, the aroma of kibbe baking and onions frying would escape through the back door of the kitchen and tempt everyone within at least a mile. While many parishioners returned to St. Raymond on special occasions, the Sunday Mass was usually sparse in attendance, and it usually began 15 minutes late because we were depending upon a priest from St. Vincent de Paul to rush over after he said Mass at his parish. In 1962, St. Raymond was graced by a visit from the Patriarch Miochi. A small but dedicated group of parishioners at St. Raymond had been seeking to obtain a Maronite priest to serve as pastor of St. Raymond.
The people of St. Louis were wonderful. They were so happy. They couldn't even describe their happiness because the patriarch was coming from Lebanon. One of their own was coming to visit them. So when he came, of course, before he came, some men got together. They painted the church. They fixed the parking lot. They fixed the fence. They tried to make that church beautiful. So he did arrive, and even at that time, they wanted the patriarch to celebrate Mass at St. Louis Cathedral. And the patriarch did that, but he also celebrated Mass in the old St. Raymond's Church. And when the patriarch was here, of course, they had a banquet for him, and they begged him for a priest.
If the church was going to survive, a permanent dedicated priest was necessary. In 1966, Bishop Zayak was installed in Detroit, Michigan. A delegation of St. Raymond parishioners attended, requesting a Maronite priest for the parish. On January 3, 1967, Reverend Robert J. Shaheen arrived in St. Louis as the temporary administrator of St. Raymond's Church. It was a 6-month assignment authorized by Bishop Zayak.
I came in 1967. I was supposed to be here for 3 months. A little background to that deal, because I was in Connecticut. I was a newly ordained priest. I was happy serving as assistant in my own parish of St. Anthony in Danbury. By this time, the bishop had investigated St. Louis. He knew that many said the parish was dead, the parish wasn't going to be closed, but he knew there was a group of people who really wanted to preach. So he asked me to go and see if they really would be able to have a pastor, a priest, and he promised me, my son, go for 3 months, be there by Christmas. This was 2 weeks before Christmas, and serve them and give me a report, and you could come back if you wish. Well, I got here, not at Christmas. I really didn't want to come. We were busy decorating and everything in Danbury. So January 1st, I had told him I'll be there. I said, how long haven't they had a priest for Christmas? He said, 23 years. I said, one more year, not going to make any difference. So I was home after Christmas celebrations in Danbury. It was New Year's Day. And one of the gentlemen came to visit from our parish. He said, I thought you were in St. Louis. I said, no, I didn't go. He said, you promised the bishop would go. You have to obey the bishop. I said, I know, I'll go sooner or later. He said, pack your bags. We're going tonight. So we packed my car, and he drove me. We drove together to St. Louis, and I got here. I found the church. I rode by it 4 times, and I said, this can't be the church. It looked like an old 4-family flat. But I happened to be there. And I walked in. Mass was just being finished, completed by, there was a Latin priest from St. Vincent celebrating Mass. There was a little old lady on the side looking, she says, are you the priest? Well, I had a red shirt on, had a white Buick. I walked in and she said, she called her sister, she said, this young guy came in, he looked around, looked at the old place, and he asked me where's the nearest Lebanese restaurant. She said, then he disappeared. And so that's was how I arrived. That was my arrival in St. Louis.
However, by November of that year, Bishop Zayek named Father Shaheen as pastor of St. Raymonds. At St. Raymond, 1967 was a year of more firsts and new things. In this year, the first MYO was formed, the choir was organized, the Men's Society changed their name, and Maronite liturgies were celebrated on a regular basis in the church. Between 1967 and 1971, Father Shaheen worked tirelessly to reach out to all Lebanese in the St. Louis area and invite them back home. More people were returning to the parish, which meant that the church building on LaSalle Street may no longer be adequate to accommodate this new growing parish. It was during this time frame Wednesday and Friday lunches became more popular. Coffee hours after weekend masses were held. Sundays became incomplete unless you had your fix of a glazed donut. A series of fundraising events were held at the Chase, with headliners appearing from Las Vegas to ensure a large draw for the event.
There were only 50 people on the books when I first came, 50 individuals. We had the old list from the old Latin priest. So as people started to come, the church was crowded. First it was only the Mass crowded with the 11 o'clock Mass. Then all of a sudden, the 9 o'clock Mass was getting full. And what even surprised me, the men were starting to come to the church, even standing in the back, but in that long hallway. And those were guys that hadn't been to church for a long time. So they started believing in the priest too, to someday, hey, we can do something in this community. We have everything beautiful. We have businesses, the best business. We have best merchandise, the best stores. We have the best lawyers, best doctors. We had all these things. Why can't we have a church? You always had fundraisers by the ladies, but that was enough to keep the old church going. I mean, they raised all the money, to be honest. They kept the altar clean. They kept the pews clean. They kept the electric bill paid, the heat bill paid. They kept all these things. But if you want to go out and build, well, they had, I'll tell you the truth, they had $27,000. So when we decided we were going to build, I decided we'll buy the whole street. So when people saw this great space, they said, you know what, maybe there is something to this guy. I bet we can build a new church. But we spent all the ladies' money between the furniture and buying those three properties. But then we decided, well, we're going to do it. Then Ralston decided to be the redevelopers. And I went to Ralston. I told them, if you're redeveloping this whole part, we want to buy, we want some property down here. And they said, well, we'll give you on the LaSalle Street, that's on the LaSalle Street side, but not on Soto Avenue. That's prime property. So I said, what do you mean not prime? I said, if I'm going to build a church, I want it on the corner of 9th Street. I want it to be seen and shown, and that half of block is not going to be enough. I need the whole square block. Well, we don't think we can do it. You know, it's very valuable. I said, oh, okay. Goodbye. I'll build a church someplace else. You won't do that. You're not doing it. You're crazy. Where are you guys going to get the money from? Where am I going to get the money from? I said, I don't know. God will provide.
In 1974, LaSalle Street was renamed to Lebanon Drive by city ordinance. In this year, the third groundbreaking ceremony for the new church took place with Bishop Zayek present. A new rectory building began construction in 1976. In 1978, there was groundbreaking for the new parish center, and in 1979, the center was dedicated as the Cedars, named in honor of Mary, Mother of God. In February 2001, Core Bishop Robert J. Shaheen became Bishop Robert J. Shaheen. It was a cold, rainy, and cloudy day when Bishop Shaheen was ordained, but you would never know that by the beauty and spectacle inside of the Basilica on Lindell. It was here that Patriarch Peter Sphere presided over the ordination of Bishop Robert J. Shaheen. As Bishop Shaheen knelt before the Patriarch, his mother and other family members witnessed their son and brother and uncle now become the first American-born bishop in the Maronite Church. Hosts of clergy from both rites, dignitaries, visitors from all over the country, and St. Louisans witnessed this historic event. Of course, the parishioners of St. Raymond were proud of their spiritual shepherd and leader. The most recent addition to St. Raymond has been the Maronite Heritage Institute. Bishop Shaheen established this institute for the purpose of recording, storing, and sharing the beautiful history of the Maronite Church so that future generations and all interested in the Maronite Church could have a resource to depend upon. 45 years after the arrival of the newly ordained Maronite priest, now a bishop, he still regards St. Louis and St. Raymond Parish as his home.
I thank them. I thank the people of St. Raymond. Because no priest could do anything by himself, honey. No priest. And I thank them for being more than just parishioners. They were friends. They were people who really loved the church. In fact, they had a dream, but they made me part of that dream. So I thank them for letting me be part of the dream, and so together we can celebrate this 100th anniversary, not just as some stranger coming in, but as being part of the family of the Maronite family who belong here. And I mean that from my heart. God bless them.
We are a bridge between the past and the present for the sake of the future. Long after the buildings erode, the grasses wither, and languages fade, the beautiful history of our faith and heritage will live on in the minds and hearts of our children. Consider that the only vision of the past your children will have is the view through your eyes. The only endearment your children will have of their ancestors and their heritage is how you tell the story. Those poor and uneducated early immigrants placed God first. Where is God on our list of things to do, and where is He on our children's? The rest, as they say, will be history.